a wrap. Highly anticipated Final Four, and after a dominant run through the Big Ten, all those Quad 1 wins, all those emphatic wins, it's UCLA who wins its first ever NCAA title, second national championship, joining that AIAW team of 1978. Congrats to the Bruins, a historic season, and we're here to talk about that and everything else from the weekend in Phoenix. Rob Joyce, Megan Gauer, welcome to the final Gauer Hour of the year. Megan, back home after a week and a half?
Yeah, we can
in
have
either Tejas or the desert. How was the desert?
It was good. It was a good host city. Honestly, I'm biased. If it's warm, I generally think it's a good host city because I like to be warm and not freezing. But no, it was a fun time in Phoenix.
It's not the most walkable city, right?
No, that was the one thing. Like, downtown Phoenix is, I don't think, where things are happening in the Phoenix area. So like it was walkable from our hotel to the arena and everything, but I feel like I spent a lot of time taking Ubers outside of this downtown.
Did you get your runs in?
I did. Well, only one of them, but I did do 10 miles. So, and I did do 12 in Dallas. So
there you go.
Yeah.
UCLA wins. We'll talk about all three games.
I have my
was not overly dramatic on Sunday. It was over. You think, all right, maybe South Carolina has an early third quarter run in it. We got ourselves a ball game. Instead, it's UCLA who goes on the run, and then it spiraled quickly. Honestly, my big takeaway from the weekend was the Mortgage Matchup Center is a very underwhelming arena name. That's my biggewest takeaway from all things Phoenix. They said that because I'm not a big NBA guy, so I don't want to watch the Suns. No, that's how enthralling an arena name. The court, though, the court was just.
Yeah, they did a great job at the court, but yes, the arena name leaves something to be desired for sure.
UCLA's performance Sunday did not. Your takeaways as you watched what was ultimately a 79-51 win over South Carolina unfold, and what was basically a 15-minute coronation, because it was, once UCLA went on that early third quarter run, you realized this is over.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought they won in kind of the same way they've won all season, in that, like, it was a very balanced effort, right? Like, Hawkes had 21, she led them in scoring, but it was Hawkes, it was Betts, it was Neepkins, it was Ledger Walker, it was Kiki Rice. Like, they all had big contributions, and Dukulich, too, off the bench. So, like, that whole senior group, I think, showed up and was just able to get it done, and obviously in a pretty dominant fashion, which I don't know that I had on my big O card, right? Like, I very much thought UCLA could win that game. I don't know that I had them winning by 30 on my big O card. But they came out, and I felt like from the opening tip, they made some shots, they created some separation, and South Carolina really was never able to get themselves back in it.
They opened the first quarter and the third quarter with basically the same play, that high, just throw it up to Betts inside. She gets the seal on Okot, and she makes a layup. And, Betts, she was the Final Four's most outstanding player. Yeah. She wasn't the best player on the floor on Sunday, but I think just that tone setter of, yeah, you have a 6'6" Okot, you have a good front court. Well, we have Lauren Betts. Mm-hmm. We're going to prove right away that you're going to have to figure out a way to deal with it. And even if it didn't come necessarily with some 26-point, 15-rebound effort, it was just a sign of, you figure it out, and then we can let everyone else beat you in a very UCLA fashion. The seniors, like, they scored every point in the Final Four. Yeah. The seniors. It was a perfect, I think you're right, a perfect encapsulation of the depth of this team, the leadership on this team, and a senior class that, I mean, the pressure on this senior class was probably just immense, and they answered it in just absolutely the most positive way possible, basically from the opening jump.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of pressure, right? Like, I think this was, in a lot of ways, when you're looking at it, like, if UCLA was going to get one, this was the year to do it. And I think that had to come with so much pressure on the senior class to not only get to the Final Four, but then to get to a national championship game and win a national championship, and to be able to deliver on that. I think especially in the fashion that they did, right? Like, they never looked rattled in that game, even though it was their first time in a national championship game. They came out with the right intensity from the jump, and we're just really able to put it away. I thought it was really impressive win.
There's a weight to Final Fours, right? Pressure is different for everyone. For South Carolina, for UConn, like, the pressure is that the Final Four is like the floor. You're expected to get there. Anything else is a failure. there's just kind of a pressure that's just there all the time if you play in those types of programs. It never goes away. You have to get used to it. This UCLA pressure, like there's no slow boil like it is in Columbia, where you just kind of have to get used to it. Like, if not now, when? This
Mhm.
the year. It's college, so there's already a finite lifespan for these teams as it is, but all those seniors, all that talent. You had 1 year of Betts, Rice, Jaquez, Dugalich. You went out and added Neepkins. You got Ledger Walker healthy. All seniors. So and it's not to say that UCLA won't ever or wouldn't have ever gotten there, but you did all of this for Sunday. All of
Right.
it. That's pressure. If they didn't win a national championship this year, all those players are gone. The fact is they did, and there's no guarantee you ever get back. Like, look at
Mhm.
Arizona. Hasn't gotten back since they made it in 21. Mississippi State went to back-to-back finals. Hasn't gotten back. Louisville got to 2 title games in 5 years. 2 Final Fours in the 13 years since. A&M won it in 2011, nothing since. Maryland won it in 06. They've had 2 Final Four trips in 20 years since and none in a decade. You can go on, but the point is, you have an opportunity sometimes in a window that may never come around again. That's an immense pressure. And
Yeah.
that performance, I'm blown away. Absolutely blown away.
Yeah, I just don't think you can say enough about like what this group was able to do and the fact that like with all that pressure, which isn't like something that comes with the territory necessarily at UCLA, right? Like you don't think about UCLA as you show up to that school as a freshman and like it's Final Four or bust. But the this class of seniors, Jaquez and Kiki, especially being there for 4 years, and then they had Betts in her sophomore year, and that they were able to kind of build that program from what had been kind of already like a a Sweet 16 type program every single year to this next level, and then ultimately end it with a national championship is like I don't think they could ask for a better way to go out.
No, and maybe UCLA, this catapults them and they're in the Final Four or competing every year, every other year, most years. Maybe they never get back here. Like, who knows? But it doesn't matter because they hung a banner.
Right.
That
Exactly.
hangs forever in Poly.
Yeah, exactly. Like you got one and like no one's gonna take that away.
Right. Gabriela Jaquez.
So good.
So good the entire game. Ryan Rucco in the fourth quarter, at one point there was a rebound and he said, Jaquez the rebound because of course. And like that encapsulates
Yeah.
just how good she was on Sunday. It wasn't even like she's not the most talented player on the floor. She got after everything, everything. And for one game, she absolutely was the best player on the floor.
Yeah, it just felt like she was everywhere. Like, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves in a way, right? Like she had 21 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I'm probably blanking on some of the exact numbers there, but I just thought the way she was literally everywhere on the floor, every like rebound, like you said, every 50-50 ball, like I don't know that there was a player that wanted to win that more than Gabriela Jaquez, and it certainly showed.
Here's the list of players with 20, 10 boards, and 5 assists or more in the championship game. Dawn Staley, Shamika Holtzclaw, Brianna Stewart, Sarah Strong, and Gabriela Jaquez. That's a pretty darn good list to be on. The big question now, where does UCLA go from here? I mean, I'm pulling up, I have the list of the top 100 recruits on ESPN in front of me. You know what name is not listed in any of these top 100?
UCLA.
UCLA. They lose literally every point. 100% of their points scored in the Final Four.
Yeah.
All are graduated. Obviously, they're going to go portaling. Obviously, it's very easy to go in the portal and say, hey, we just won a national championship. Do you want to play for me? Yes. This is as unique a situation. Like, we've seen, teams win a national title and then kind of fade off. But this is the era of the portal. It's a whole new world of we haven't seen in the modern-ish era. What do you do when you lose your top 7 players and you don't have an obvious immediate answer coming in? It's very unique.
It is very unique. Obviously they've got Sienna Betts that I'm assuming is saying that they're going to build around. Tamia Gardner should be healthy next year, so they've got a little bit there, but yeah, they need some pieces, and it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the portal because that to your point, like there's not a much easier sell of why you should come play for me in the portal than hey, we just won a national championship, and I'm sure that's going to help Corey Close a lot.
Very happy for Corey Close,
Yes.
who my Like I haven't watched a ton of UCLA basketball historically. Obviously, that's picked up over the last couple of years as they've gotten better and better. Always impressed by her in press conferences. Seems like a very good person, says all the right things, seemed overwhelmed by the moment, as you might imagine, in like a positive way, emotional way, as they're winning in those last 30 seconds when they're taking that shot clock violation. And you could see it like smacking her in the face of like, oh, it's over. We actually did it. And it's also a sign of we're in this world now, right? For players and coaches, like players, I need to win now or I'm out. Administrations, coaches need to win now or they're out. Corey Close has been there for 15 years.
Mhm.
And like they haven't been a Final Four contender for 15 years. They've been good. They haven't ever been bad, but they gave her time. She got a top ranked recruiting class. She hit the portal perfectly, and you're rewarded for your patience. And I feel like some teams can take a lesson from that.
Yeah. No, agreed. I mean, I think like you said, 15 years. It took her 15 years to get there, but they got there. And they've been good in that span, but like it's really taken the last 2 years for them to get to that kind of elite level, and they've gotten to there. And I think a lot of trust from UCLA and Core Close, which I think has obviously paid off. Right now, you're hanging a banner in your gym. Not many teams get to say that, and from the players too, right? I think especially when you look at Hawkes and Rice that stayed there for 4 years. Even Bats was there for 3 years. Like they had a lot of pieces on the team that were around for a long time.
Her second year, they went 26-8. They were a 3 seed and lost in the first round. And then they missed the tournament the next 2 years. So they missed the tournament 3 of her first 4 years. And the one time they made it, it was an upset. This was a decade ago. Like some schools would have pulled the trigger.
Right.
And made a change. And then she got it back. They were a top 6 seed 4 straight years. Then, they went 17-6 in the COVID year. They lost in the second round. Then they missed the tournament in 22. Again, there'd be a lot of administrations who said, you've been here for a decade. You haven't gotten, you got another first weekend upset exit. You missed the tournament. Thanks, but we're going to move on. UCLA didn't. 4 seed, 2 seed, Final Four, national championship. There's a lesson there. South Carolina side of things. Second straight year, they get to the championship game. It's not close in the second half. That they got here wasn't a surprise. I think given all the injuries and the things they had to deal with throughout the year, I don't really think anyone would have blamed them if they bowed out before Phoenix. Instead, they get healthy at the right time. They started to find some consistency with just who's available to play in the games. You obviously never question the talent. And here they are with a six straight Final Four and second straight national championship game appearance. Well, third straight technically because they obviously won it a couple years ago.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel like for South Carolina, that's a great season, right? Especially given the injuries and stuff that you had this year, to still get back to the Final Four and then to make it to a national championship game. I mean, obviously, yes, their friends would have liked to go win one. The team would have liked to go win one, but I don't think this is a bad ending. Like, I think you have to feel when you are able to take a step back and like the sting and the loss wears off. Like that was a pretty darn good season for where this team was this year.
There were a lot of stupid things on the internet over the weekend. My favorite stupid thing was because Dawn Staley wore an expensive sweatshirt and they lost by a lot. That I saw the words, "She'll never win the big one." As if she hasn't won 3 national championships, and one of which was an undefeated season, and hasn't. It's you can say anything on the internet. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, the internet is an interesting place. I mean, this is one of her best coaching jobs. A big one.
Yeah, this isn't her best coaching job. I think that's the you replace the whole freshies, the class, and then come out with basically a brand new, not a brand new team, but a whole different looking team, and you go undefeated and win a national title. That's her best coaching job to this point. This is a pretty darn good one. And I think the portal is a thing. We'll see how, there's 1,000 people in the portal. I think they're going to be the best team in the country next year. I think they have doesn't OCOT have till today to declare for the draft? So the NCAA needs to get on its horse to figure out if she's going to be eligible. Because I think they said they were going to appeal.
Yeah.
Say she's out of the picture, even if she isn't there. Their front court is still Joyce Edwards, Chloe Kitts, Alicia Turnabes, You're going to get the expected return of Ashlyn Watkins. I don't know what she looks like after a year and a half off. If she's your fourth best big, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Like, good luck.
Yeah.
And then you have Maddie McDaniel, who I think was very good, spent 2 years as an understudy to Raven Johnson. Tessa Johnson will be a senior. And the breakout star for South Carolina of the tournament, Agat McKeer, who's just that the star is flaming hot, shooting star. She went from kind of like a bit piece for most of the year to she was the most important player.
Yeah.
For a couple of games.
No, agreed. I think they have a lot of pieces returning and a really, really solid start there, right? Returning. And obviously the transfer portal could change some things, but they're still like they're probably going to add to that rather than subtract from that. And that's obviously a very good core to be starting out next year with.
Yeah, I mean, they lose Raven Johnson and Tanaya Latson. Latson, I thought, was very, very good in the tournament.
Yes. Yeah, agreed.
Who after, we're questioning all year, and everyone's questioning all year, like, oh, does it fit? Does it work? Did it work? She played her best basketball at the most important time of year. So, yeah, I'd say it worked.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to see with this team, particularly Joyce Edwards, I want her to become a killer. The second weekend, she was excellent against TCU. She had 24 and 12. She got her rebounds in every game. She was 3 of 13 in the Sweet 16. She was 8 for 24 in the 2 Final Four games. Last year, she was a freshman, but still, last year, she was 12 for 36 in the second weekend and beyond. Go become that killer. She has the talent. She has all the pieces. Go take the game, because she's more times than not, if not the best player on the floor, one of the 2 or 3 best players on the floor, and just go take, like, she seems too nice, which is a problem a lot of people have. Very few people, in fact, are like mean enough. Which, in real life, that's a positive thing. On the basketball court, just go take it, because she has the talent. That's the one thing that I want to see from Edwards next year, because if she does, then I don't know how you score on South Carolina already. I don't know how you beat South Carolina if they're going to give up 55 a game and they have an All-American who's going to say, I'm going to take it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's the one thing holding her back from being like at that next level, right? Like she hasn't been talked about necessarily in the same group as like your National Player of the Year candidates this year. But she certainly has the talent to be in that group. And if she can kind of add that, like the drive and that element to her game in the offseason, like I don't see why she's not right in that discussion next year.
All right, let's go back to Friday. We will get to the Geno stuff. I don't want that to take away. I want to talk game first. South Carolina's defense was spectacular. South Carolina's built itself on defense, right? Like, this is prisoner of the moment, given how many defensive performances they've had in the last decade. That one was right up there. I thought it was amazing.
No, it was a great defensive performance, right? Like they entirely took UConn out of its element. Was particularly Sarah Strong and AC Fudd had a really difficult time in this game, and I think like that was the difference maker, right? Like the two of them, I forget, it was like 7 of 31, I think they
31
combined for. Yeah, like that's not what you typically get from those two, and without those two being better than that, it was just too much for UConn to handle.
I mean, North Carolina and Notre Dame gave the blueprint, right?
Mm-hmm.
Try to bully UConn. They just didn't quite have the horses. Obviously, South Carolina does, and South Carolina bullied the Huskies, and they didn't respond. McKeer, that was really her apex. South Carolina, we talked last week, UConn gets a lot of 30-70 balls. South Carolina got all of them. All of them. And then, how about Maddie McDaniel? Did you notice, really? I mean, I did, but it was more of a, hey, Raven Johnson isn't out there in the second quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, there were times when Johnson wasn't out there, and you wouldn't have noticed. And I think that's a compliment to what Maddie McDaniel did. I thought she was very, very good.
Yeah, I agree. I thought she was great, especially when Raven was on the bench in the second quarter with the foul trouble. But then again, like you said, in the fourth, she wasn't out there too. But Maddie McDaniel was able to get it done as well. And like in hindsight, looking back to the game, I think like when UConn wasn't able to like create some separation with Raven Johnson not out there, like everyone should have known they were in trouble.
You gave the stat. I mean, Strong and Fudd were 7 for 31. Like, there's your story.
Yeah, exactly. That pretty much sums it up. Like they needed Right, there hasn't been a game all season where the two of them both struggled. I feel like, I mean, maybe there was in the Big East that I'm forgetting, but it didn't matter. But for the most part, like one of the two of them at least has always been able to figure it out in every game this season, and like that happened at the probably the most unfortunate time for UConn. But obviously, credit to South Carolina's defense. But without the two of them, like I thought, actually the rest of UConn's pieces did a decent job, but you needed your superstars in the Final Four to be your superstars.
We said last week the warning signs were there.
Yeah.
It's like the offense scored 62 or whatever in the first half against Syracuse and basically shut it down.
Yeah.
For the next 3.5 games. Syracuse, whatever. You didn't need to put in cruise control. Don't get hurt. Rest legs, whatever. It wasn't an anomaly that they didn't perform well offensively because they didn't at all in Fort Worth. They just happened to get away with it. And I thought the biggest point in the game, the one time UConn did show signs of life, they make the 3 straight threes. They're down 10. Now they're down 1. And then I think South Carolina scoring the last 4 points of the third quarter, that felt very big. If that's a 1, 2, 3-point game heading into the fourth, great. Instead, that tide that UConn had seemed to turn kind of fizzled out because they gave up the last 2 buckets, and then they never really threatened again.
Yeah, you felt like when they hit those 3 threes kind of back to back, like that it was maybe going to be a momentum swing in the Huskies' favor, but then 100% true. South Carolina gets those last 2 buckets, and it was just like you kind of never caught back on to the momentum.
AZ Fudd is gone. Sarah Williams was gone, who was, if you're making a list of most disappointing transfers, Sarah Williams is pretty high on it. That's it, though. Barring, I mean, they have some portals. Ayanna Patterson went in the portal. But they have Sarah Strong. They have Blanca Quinones. Ashlyn Shade, who was, frankly, their only
best player
good player offensively in the game. UConn did play well defensively. They gave up 62 points. UConn wins 95% of games when they give up 62. Like the defense was never the issue in the last week and a half. It was purely the offense. But anyways, Arnold and Shade are seniors. Strong's a junior. Quinones is a sophomore. They have a highly rated freshman coming in. They have a couple of international kids coming in. You would know better than me.
I think so.
They got UConn is fine. They do have questions, I think, in the backcourt about getting enough points out of the backcourt. You have the most talented player in the country. There you go. We're off to a fine start heading into next year. All right. Give me all you got on Gino.
Yeah. So I guess for anyone that somehow lives on a rock and hasn't seen it, there was an altercation at the end of the game between Gino and Dawn. I mean, I thought it was inappropriate for Gino to go up. Whatever. No one knows what he said, but I think it was inappropriate to go up to her and say anything at that point. Like, you just shake hands and move on. I don't really care how annoyed you were with the officiating or whatever else. And then he doubled down on it in the press conference, which, I don't know, all of it was like very uncharacteristic of Gino, right? Like, we've seen him lose in the Final Four, 8 out of the last 10 years.
Well, he's been to 25 Final Fours, and he's been to the Natty 13 times. So yeah, he's lost in this game 12 times.
Yeah, and like this has never been a thing before, or at least in my memory, unless it happened like way back at some point. So it felt very uncharacteristic. I mean, he issued an apology on whatever the next day, but just very bizarre.
It's been 4 days, and I'm still kind of just like flabbergasted by it all. It was surreal watching it all unfold. So obviously, I have the luxury of I'm sitting on my couch. I have social media up. I'm watching the game. Frankly, I missed it live. Like with like a minute left, I'm like, all right, South Carolina's going to win. Let me get settled for game 2, and then I look up and see like what the hell's happening. So, you know, I was watching online, was able to rewind and see it. But take me through, where were you sitting? You were up in the bowels of mortgage matchup center.
Yeah, up high. So it was hard to see what was happening, right? Like, you could tell quickly that that people were yelling at each other, that like something was going on, but like without watching it back, like you really couldn't tell what had happened.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say that hasn't been said already.
Yeah.
I mean, Gino looks terrible coming out of it, frankly. Like the Holly interview, the interaction at the end of the game, the press conference, it was like it was odd. It's just so odd. Like 25 years ago, fiery, brash Gino, like that's in the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
Like this last decade or so, like older grandpa Gino. I mean,
It was weird.
It was weird. Obviously, he had his apology. Some people are going to take it. Others are not. That's just, he's going to have to deal with it. Like, UConn's under the microscope. Any little thing, detractors, rivals, whoever, are going to take advantage. And he didn't crack the door open. He smashed it open with a Ram truck. And like, most of the criticism was fair. A couple people went over the top on the internet, but like, that's the internet. This isn't going to go away.
Yeah.
If this were a November game, the event of the season, you have games, you have whatever. We're in the off season. The next time he has a media availability, he's going to be asked about it. The next time Dawn Staley has a media availability, she's going to be asked about it. They play in November next year. What do you think everything is going to be asked about? Well, all the questions about that game are going to be for a week to both of them. It's going to be that. It's not going to be the game. So like, he's going to have to accept this has a shelf life.
Yeah.
And he comes out of it looking very, very bad. He apologized. Take that what you will. I kind of wish he was a little less doubly down in the press conference, especially because he had like an hour after the game. That's not how it played out. And that's something they're going to have to live with for the next probably 7 months until they play South Carolina in November.
Yep.
Do we
yeah.
Do we have to talk about UCLA, Texas?
The timing of it, like, it is going to be a storyline until November.
Do we have to talk about UCLA, Texas?
Yep.
Do we?
We do, unfortunately.
I mean, it looked really good when UCLA jumped out to a 14 to 4 lead, 14 to 6 lead. And like the starters had scored for UCLA, and like they did it fairly quickly, and then no one scored for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, it felt like the longest second half of basketball that I have ever watched in my like entire life, because just nothing happened for such long stretches of time.
It was 20 to 17 at halftime. It was 31-28 in the third. Corey Close, in her interview with Holly, a little less explosive in the fourth, but she basically was like, yeah, sorry for the fans. It's 31-28. Then the fourth quarter was interesting. Like, UCLA goes up 12, 45-32, so up 12, 13 points. Like, the game was over. It's like, there's no way Texas is scoring 13 points. And then it wasn't over. Because, UCLA was incapable of inbounding the basketball. Frankly, if Texas makes 2 more shots in the game, they win, not because of the 4 points they get from the 2 shots. That's because UCLA would have had to inbound the ball. And they would have run out of timeouts because they couldn't inbound the ball. They have to keep calling timeout. That was the most interesting part of the game.
Ball or break the press, which I was actually shocked that like South Carolina didn't. Like, granted, you have to make shots to beat the press, but like was shocked that South Carolina didn't try to press them more in the championship game, because they really struggled against that with Texas.
I wonder how much, because they did in that little bit in the second quarter, and then I may be getting the timeline of events wrong. Maybe Raven Johnson going to the bench affected that.
Yeah.
Because you would imagine she's the leader of that defense. She's the leader of any press. She goes on the bench with 2 personals. Maybe they just said, we can't afford that.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Texas was down 12-13 in the fourth. They come back. They have the ball with the shot clock turned off and 27 seconds left, and they're down 3. Well, of all the things for Texas to be down 3 points, that's just the storyline's right itself. Madison Booker, who was approximately 3 for $1 billion at that point, attacked Lauren Betts, went right at her. It went, as you might expect, against the 6'7" best defensive player in the country, Lauren Betts. And then UCLA ices it in those final seconds. What were your takeaways from, Madison Booker? She made her first shot in the opening minute, and then she missed her next 17. Not the first time I've said this. Same thing as Strong and Fudd. They went 7 of 31. Madison Booker was 3 for 23. You don't need to go much deeper.
Yeah, exactly. That pretty much sums it up from the Texas perspective. I think, like, in these games, right, when you get to the Final Four and the teams that you're playing, the margin for error is just so thin. And like, when your star players have nights like that, like, it just kind of does it for you. Like, that's the game right there. I take away from this one, I think the reason that Lauren Betts won most outstanding player, the reason I voted for her for most outstanding player, was the way she played in this game too, right? Like, Hawkins was clearly the best player on the floor in the championship game, but I thought just like Lauren Betts was good in the championship game and got them to the championship game, and that award is like technically for the whole weekend. And, like, I mean, she was the only player I think at all, if anyone, on Friday night that shot the ball well. I think she was like 7 to 10 from the floor, 10 rebounds, and maybe nothing more impactful than that block on Madison Booker at the end there to get UCLA to the championship game.
And even her defense on Sunday, ESPN put up a stat. I think it was like in the first half, maybe the third quarter of South Carolina with like inside the paint with Betts on the floor was like 1 for a lot.
Yeah.
And without Betts or outside the paint, they were much better. It's like, yeah, that's something that, yes, there's a stat for, but you can't quite quantify just how important Betts is.
Mhm.
Just being there, existing,
Right.
alters games in ways that, I mean, Don Staley said it like something to the effect of you can't teach 6'7" or something like you can't game plan for 6'7". Yeah. Lauren Betts is 6'7", and she looked every bit of it, and that's, that was a positive for UCLA. No reason to think Texas won't be back. They've had a weird last 24 hours.
Yeah.
Aaliyah Crump's freshman year barely got going because of injury. Then she went to the portal. Justice Carlton, who was a starter on that team yesterday, went into the portal. She was very good for large stretches of March. Rory Harmon is obviously out of eligibility. She will graduate. But Madison Booker, she's going to be a senior. I know they've lost some pieces that they probably expected to have. They'll be in preseason top 5, Final 4 favorite again next year.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to build around Booker. Now you probably need to go get some pieces that you didn't necessarily think you were going to have to. But they're still going to be a top 5 team, like you said, next year. And I mean, Madison Booker is a heck of a piece to be building around.
I want to backtrack a little bit because I forgot to say something. Very disappointing. Betts was your Final 4 most outstanding player. Most other All-Americans basically no-showed. That sucks.
Yeah.
Strong and Fudd were 7 for 31 in their loss. Madison Booker was 3 for 23. Michaela Blakes was 7 for 26 in her Sweet 16 loss. Johnny Cambridge was pretty good, but they lost in the second round. Like that's a lot of
Hidalgo had quite
yes.
Yes.
Hannah Hidalgo was very much an exception, an outlier to that. It stinks that on the biggest stage, the Final 4, 3 of the most notable names in the game, Joyce Edwards, All-American, didn't shoot the ball well for 2 games. It just it's not an indictment of the game. It's not an indictment of anyone. It's just unfortunate that there's 6 or 7 All-Americans, however many played this weekend, and one of them was good.
Yeah.
I think you see that in the box scores.
Yeah. Agreed. I do think you see it in the box scores, but it is disappointing, right? Like there's so many eyes on the Final 4, and like you want to see the best players play at their best in the Final 4, and it's disappointing to not see that.
You know who's a fun player to watch for 4 years plus? Roy Harmon.
Yeah.
Very fun to watch. I'm gonna miss her.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
There's your Final 4. Would you enjoyed Phoenix? I mean, you like warm cities, so that you go back to Phoenix?
Yeah, I would go back to Phoenix.
That was the first West Coast Final 4 in 20 some odd years?
I will say it's like very weird to have like the time of the games. It's probably just like people on the West Coast are probably used to this and aren't just like duh. But like the Friday games tip off at like 4 p.m. and like the game was at 12:30 on Sunday. It's very interesting.
As someone who got home last night after the men's championship game broadcast at 1:30 in the morning, I'm very jealous.
Oh yeah. No, it was actually very nice. Like I would do that again because I'm very used to like by the time we like podcast after the game and stuff on the East Coast that it's especially Friday night, it's very late and it was nice to be in bed at a very reasonable hour.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that late Friday night podcast you do with Jamie. I didn't think about it. It was probably like 9 o'clock. You're wide awake, ready to go. You probably went
it was not at 1 a.m. like it normally is. So probably why we sound more coherent than usual too.
Saturday was a very interesting day in the coaching carousel.
Yes.
UCF hired Gabe Lazo, who was just hired by LSU after leaving Tennessee. Georgia. So Friday, Mia Woolfolk and maybe Danny Carnegie announced, or it was reported they're going to the portal. It's like, what? And then you see a bunch of other Georgia players go in the portal. And then Saturday morning, Coach Abe and the school mutually part ways. And then they hired a coach, Kim Caldwell trajectory, McNeese's coach, who went D2 to last year McNeese. Now she's in the SEC at Georgia. And then later in the day, Virginia, a week after losing in the Sweet 16, fires Coach Mox. And then the stories come out that there's a toxic environment. We don't know if that's true, but those are the reports. Weird Saturday. You were on the West Coast, and all this hope was breaking at like probably 7 a.m. West Coast time.
Yeah.
What was it like as Saturday, you have all sorts of media responsibilities. As you wake up, you're checking your phone, you're getting coffee, whatever, and like all the things are happening.
Yeah. Very strange, and just, like, a strange pattern of news. Obviously, now more has come out on the Virginia one, but, like, at first glance, that was just like, "We what are you doing? You just went to a Sweet 16." So just yeah, some strange moves. Also, like, I guess Virginia, it's only been a week, but the others, like, and, like, yes, they hired someone right away, but if you're, like, Georgia, for example, like, why do you wait until like 2 days before the portal opens. Like, I don't I have a hard time computing.
This is entirely conjecture. This is not based on any sort of reporting. I'm in no way a reporter. My uneducated guess, Abe had, I think, a couple years on her contract. I think it was recognized she was on the hot seat probably
Mhm.
going into this year. She makes the tournament as a 7 seed, knocks off Vandy, gets a couple of ranked wins, or in the top 25. I think she either asked for more, like a raise, or probably more importantly, she asked for more resources, NIL, whatever. And school might have said no. And I think they just were at an impasse. That's my completely
Yeah,
uneducated guess.
fair. That would
Um,
make more sense than, like, waiting and just deciding to end it a contract, like, 2 days before the portal
because I
opens.
think it's true. Like, she doesn't have to pay any money, and she's not
Mhm.
getting paid any money by Georgia. I think it was a true, like, we're going to break
Ye
this off.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's
Mhm.
unusual. We're never going to know, I'm sure, what actually happened. So don't take what I said as gospel, for love of God. But that's my uneducated guess based on what we're learning. The Alabama thing, where there was a lot of just charts and things of like, what do you dedicate to women's basketball? Georgia was not the highest on that list. So that's where I'm taking that. And maybe I'm wrong. Portal, a lot of names in the portal. We're not going to run through them all because we'd be here literally for 3 days. Since we last
Mhm.
spoke, Audie Crooks is officially in the portal. Iowa State has one player on its roster. Where she winds up is fascinating. She's one of the 5 best offensive players in the game. The defense is a thing. Where she winds up, like, where would be a good fit for her? Because people are throwing out, like, you're rightfully throwing out all these top 10 teams, and I don't know which one is the right one.
Yeah, I think it's interesting just to think about. I did see something this morning, and I forget who from, so I'm not gonna give the right credit that maybe she's going to Oklahoma, um, on Twitter, which is an interesting fit. I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense, but if I am thinking about what Audie Crooks needs to work on the most, it's probably her defense, and I don't know that that's going to develop as much as you would hope there. Um, but they do obviously have a Reagan beer size hole that they need to fill, so it makes sense from that perspective. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of programs that need a big, right? But it's just a which system does she fit? I think I've seen like we've seen everyone thrown out there. You've seen Notre Dame thrown out there. You've seen USC thrown out there, but it's
We said last week, like, I think there's been a little too much talk of where does she fit in. I said last week, post players don't grow on trees.
yeah,
There's one out there. Is she the perfect player? No. She can go get you 40.
yeah,
Not too many players can do that. There are fewer post players who can do that. She'll fit in fine at a lot of places,
yes, yeah,
and they'll work on her defense.
yeah,
Talasia Cooper and basically everyone from Tennessee. There are 0 returning Lady Vols on the roster in 26, 27. 0 of them will have played for Tennessee this past year. Talasia Cooper's in the portal. That is someone's getting All-American
yeah,
level talent.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think she might be the best player in the portal. Sure, it's probably
yeah.
Audie Crooks, but like Talasia Cooper, I think the world of Talasia Cooper's talent.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can make an argument for Crooks. You can make an argument for Cooper. You could probably make an argument for Kamara Johnson too. But um, yeah, just a very talented player that's going to land somewhere. And then on the flip side, I mean, yikes situation for Tennessee. Like you said, you've got 0 returners. I think one of their freshmen has already asked to be
The number 2
released.
recruit in the country
Yeah,
is
and
now on the open market again.
yeah, which is going to be a big impact for someone as well, wherever she lands. And then, yeah. Like, they're gonna have, I mean, they'll get, right, it's Tennessee. You'll get players, but like, what is this team gonna look like next year?
This has I mean, it's already kind of toxic with the fans. This could get ugly quickly next year. They're not like they didn't put up with what 16 and 14, whatever they finished. There's a chance she hits a lot of home runs in the portal and they're fine. Does it seem like that's going to be the case right now? Probably not. Yeah, it's a 3-alarm fire in Knoxville right now. It's not 5-alarm because the games have not been played. But yeah, that no one is going to be under more of a microscope next year than Tennessee.
Yeah.
Specifically, Kim Caldwell. Georgia's 2 stars, Carnegie and Woolfolk, are in the portal. Zaya Van, Oklahoma's in the portal. That was interesting. Liv McGill, one of, I think, 9 Gators. They have a new coach, but Liv McGill, another All-American caliber. And then it really stinks that a lot of Cardinal from Stanford are in the portal, including Nunu Aguera and Shimfai, the freshman, because that Stanford that's a sad situation for me.
Yeah, I think it's a product of like being in the ACC. It's like, it's just not an ideal situation. And we've talked about this, right? Since when it happened, like you're in a West Coast school where you got to make all these trips across the country to the East Coast for these games. It was already putting Stanford in a tough position, and I think tougher coming from boys like Stanford, where like obviously is very academically demanding too, and now you've got this insane travel schedule on top of it, and just it's unfortunate because it has been obviously one of the, when Tara was there, like top 4 programs in the country, and just to see its collapse, really not any fault of Stanford itself, but just or like Stanford women's basketball itself, but just like the product of conference realignment that only thinks about football is sad.
I said this last year after they missed the tournament. I'd give them 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
They had a highly recruited freshman class coming in. Can they look like some semblance of a team that's going to return to national prominence? And for 2 months, it looked like the building blocks were very much there. They were 15-4 on January 15th. They then won 1 of their next 8 games. They won their last 3 regular season games, maybe played their way into the fringes of the bubble, and then went 1 and done in the ACC tournament. Half the roster's in the portal. I think it's very bad for women's basketball that the Cardinal went from a power to an afterthought in basically 6 months.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, the travel is more in the ACC because they're true East Coast versus the Big Ten. Like, most of it's on the ACC move. It's not all of it.
Yeah.
UCLA just won a national title.
Yeah.
Washington's okay. USC is going to be a top 5 team next year, and the Big Ten's not the reason why they struggled this year. It was Juju's injury.
Mm-hmm.
Part of this goes to like Kate Pay maybe is not the right hire. It's hard to see a world right now where Stanford isn't anything more than a middling power conference team that might be in the tournament 2 or 3 times every 5 years. And that's sad given the history of Stanford women's basketball.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know, it's interesting, right? Because like we just talked about having patience with new coaches and things like that, but yeah, it's something is not going right.
No, and you know, maybe patience is what's needed. That's
Mhm.
fine. Stanford is a unique place academically. It's the elite of the elite.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to call for Kate Pay's job or anything. There's a lot of it isn't her fault. It's just it's hard to see Stanford magically becoming this power in the ACC that they were for 40 years with Tara. The good news for them and every other middling power conference team is that they're going to expand the tournament, probably, likely, from 68 to 76 teams. And my official on-the-record reaction is gross.
No one wants this. Like, why are we doing this? I hate it so much. I know we've seen that it's probably happening. I really hope it's wrong because just no one wants this.
The woke culture of they need participation trophies. The adults in the room are handing out participation trophies to see their Crappy teams make a watered down tournament that they have zero chance of winning. And yes, we'll get a North Dakota State who probably would have been an at-large in this situation. That's great. Good for the Bison. Do you think they would have taken Columbia, or would they have taken 18-14 Indiana, or 19-13 Utah, or 20-win BYU? I know the answer, and it's not favoring the mid-majors who were 28-3 but lost their conference title game.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't understand the point. We don't need. I don't know. I even think like 68's like right when you look at the field this year, there was just such a clear line between 68 and everyone else. And like, why do those teams need to play in a tournament? I don't know. I don't understand it. And now it's going to be like you're watering down your first and second rounds. It's just going to be longer. Like, I don't know how they're going to structure this thing, but I just, meh.
Like, no disrespect to Miami. I'll just pick them out of a hat.
Mhm.
They're 18-15 and finished 11th in the ACC. They'd have been a bubble team in a 76-team field. I don't need to see that.
Yeah.
I want to see the best teams. And yeah, we all want to see, like, we all want to make money, yada, yada, yada. You earn the right to win a national championship. 76 teams is too many teams to earn the right. Frankly, we don't need 68, but that toothpaste out of the tube. Yeah. And maybe this is just sour grapes, or I'm just a curmudgeon. 67 games is enough for me. I don't need 75 games when you're sitting there going, boy, is 18-15 Miami or 18-14 Indiana? Boy, could one of them threaten you? Could one of them threaten UConn in the second round? No, that's the answer. No, they cannot.
You know that.
You know why? Because the 8-9 teams who are actually worthy of going to the tournament didn't threaten the 1 seeds.
Right. Yeah, I don't see the point. I don't understand why we're doing it. No one wants it. From like a fan perspective, no one wants this. We don't need to see these sub 500 teams in their conference play in like March Madness. We don't need it. There's already a few of them that are getting in as it is. Like, we don't need more of them.
You need a bigger whiteboard.
Yeah, I know. That's
selfishly, that's why you don't want it.
Yeah, very selfishly, yes, I do not want to pick 75 teams. These are stupid.
All right, you want to have some fun? Okay, a fun segment that we're introducing. I went back a little bit into our first show of the year and picked out some clips. We'll start where Rob was right, because I need the ego boost. All right, you ready? We'll start with this one. I think people underestimate how good and how much Rivers brought, because she didn't score like Isaiah James, but she also didn't need to. I mean, look at her rookie year in the W. She was invaluable. I think they're going to miss that more than I think people realize. Obviously, they'll miss James's ability to score. Tuesday in Greensboro, they take on Tennessee. They also play USC and TCU. So I think top 20 is fair. Top 10, again, I'm just not there yet. And NC State was not a top 10 team.
Yeah.
All right. Where Rob was wrong. I was kind of right on NC State. I was very wrong. This is Ohio State. Different circumstances for Ohio State than normal. They're used to being a top 20, top 15, top 10 team. Well, they're not. How far can Jelani Cambridge carry them? They're young. I think they struggle. And I think they haven't missed the tourney in a non-COVID year since 19. Well, I think that's in doubt. Well, they were a 3 seed. So, yeah, they lost in the first weekend, but they were a 3 seed. So, no, it wasn't in doubt. It was not in doubt. One more. Where Rob was right. This is a quick one. My hot take. I don't know if they'll host. I'll say right now, Oklahoma State finishes higher than Iowa State again.
That's fair.
I like Oklahoma.
I actually am high on them, too.
Was Oklahoma State that good? No, they pretty much lived up to expectations, but they were better than Iowa State in the Big 12 this year, darn it. So another small win, and then one more big fat L. They don't have a top 100 recruit coming in. Most years are the preseason top 25 team that misses the tournament. There weren't any last year. Weak non-conference, though. This is about Vanderbilt, by the way. Virginia, and Jose Fernandez lists USF are the highlights. Obviously, SEC are going to get a ton of Q1 opportunities. You're playing with some fire here. If you expect Michaela Blakes to score 40 a night to win. Well, she didn't score 40 a night, but they were pretty good. They were, 21-0, and they were a 2 seed, and they made the tournament. So, I mean,
To be fair, like
We didn't know Aubrey Galvin was going to be good.
Yeah, someone missed the boat on Aubrey Galvin not being a top 100 recruit.
And then there is one, I have a bonus one, where you and I were both wrong. This is the last. The final output from the end of Kelly Harper to year one of Kim Caldwell wasn't drastically different. They went from, I think, like a 6 seed to a 5 seed. It felt worlds different. And I think she has that thing humming in Knoxville. And I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in terms of Final Four sooner than later. I don't know if it's this year, but soon.
Yeah, I don't know if it's quite this year, but I agree. They're back kind of on that path of being one of the top teams in the country. I think returning players here is key for them because now you have people that have gone through a year in that system. Obviously, it's a unique system.
Then the defense, it's unique. It's going to wreak havoc. 70 a game is too many to allow. It's kind of like Oklahoma. If you improve that by even like 5 points a game, you're talking Final Four caliber. Well, they weren't Final Four caliber. I purposely
have no players next year currently. So
I purposely kept in when I heard you say returning players. Oh well, we got to keep that in because yes, Tennessee does not have any returning players next year. So why do you listen to this? We're wrong half the time. Yeah. Hey, it's the preseason, man. All these teams are new every single year. You're kind of just throwing darts at a wall. And occasionally you say Oklahoma State will finish higher than Iowa State and fall kind of butt backwards into being right. Other times you say Tennessee could be Final Four good. And, well, you're not right. What was the best game you saw all year? I don't care if it was the stakes. What game entertained you more than any this year?
I feel like, and there might be some recency bias here, but like that Duke LSU Sweet 16 game was maybe one of the top games of the year.
It's always good when you have a buzzer beater.
Exactly.
And that was a back and forth game. Mine's just a random game in January. Michigan State on a Sunday at Breslin. There was 20 lead changes. There was almost a half court shot to win it in regulation. It goes to overtime. Michigan wins. I loved all 45 minutes of that game from top to bottom. We don't need to do a top 5 next year. The portal is so drastic that things are going to look different even a month from now. Early teams that you see being good. I'm sure that we have similar lists and that they're probably familiar names that are near the top of the list every year.
Yeah, I mean, I think 3 off the bat is UConn, South Carolina, and Texas. Like, expect the 3 of them to be right back somewhere in that top mix again. I think probably particularly South Carolina and UConn because they're returning quite a bit, but I expect Texas to figure it out around Booker as well and those to be back there. And then a couple others as well I would throw up there. I would say I'd expect Michigan to kind of come back and make the next stride next year. I expect Duke to be good again. I think Duke really figured something out towards the end of the season. And Vanderbilt too. I'd put Vanderbilt on that group as well.
I agree with all those. And then LSU, they lose Flage and they bring back everyone else.
Yeah.
I don't think enough people are talking about LSU going into next year. And I agree with you on Duke. I think Duke will be very good. USC, I see all these lists.
If they get a big, then yes. But I need them to get a big.
Yes. I need to see, like, they have all the talent in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting like top team in the country hype, top 5 hype.
If they get a good big, then yes. But
sure. I mean, yes. I think I need to see how does it work. Juju has one of the top 5 highest usage rates in the country.
Yeah.
Don't change that. But Jazzy Davidson had the ball in her hand an awful lot as a freshman, and you have the top recruit in the country coming in Sanaya Hall, who's going to that USC, not the other USC. They're all similar profile of their like big guards. Sure, some can move to the wing, but like these aren't post players.
Yeah.
These are, in theory, at least 2 alphas. We'll see Sanaya Hall, who I'm sure is probably an alpha. How do you split that and make it all work? I need to see it. I'm not anti. It's April 7th. I'm not anti anything. I'm just saying let's slow down. Like, was Juju Watkins worth 40 points? That's a lot of points. And that was the margin of the second round game, no? Like, she might be worth 20 points, and that's a lot. there's more than just a juju-sized hole for the USC. Before I'm just ready to go 2 feet in, Final Four national championship contender. That's all.
Yeah.
What are you doing this summer?
I'm running another half marathon, actually 2 half marathons.
You know, if you did that together, you'd run a full marathon.
Yeah. I'm not doing that quite yet. Let's see what else. I'm going to Mexico in, I don't know, about a month and a half. That should be good. Taking a vacation. Going to a World Cup game. So
Which one or where? I should say.
Norway versus like TBD in Boston. Or
Boston?
Foxborough.
Good luck getting there.
Yeah, I know. I'm already annoyed. But
you should just start walking now because that's your best bet getting there. Because, I mean, you can't take the train. The World Cup's going to be an epic disaster.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see how we handle it with no public transportation infrastructure. So,
all in for Norway. You got Martin Odegaard. Like, I got some star power. I know you don't know who those players are, but that's fine.
I do know who Holland is. I do know who that is.
He's just a 6'5" goal scoring robot man.
Yes.
That's all you need to know about Erling Haaland. Let's see, I got a cruise next week. Don't text me next week. I'm out of the country and I'm not paying $30 a day for Wi-Fi.
Oh my goodness. That's insane.
Theft. I'll pay for it once because I got to watch a Champions League game, but I don't have to, but I'm gonna. Cruise. Otherwise, chilling out for the summer. Well, this year 4. We're seniors now. Sad. We'll appeal for a 5th year of eligibility to the NCAA. And hopefully hear back before, Medina Oka needs to hear back by like 5 o'clock today.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone to listening, watching all year long. We appreciate it. Her hoop stats, we're gone for a bit. Her hoop stats still humming. WNBA season. The draft is some point this week.
Next week.
Podcast every day with the whole crew. Articles every day. The coverage never stops with women's basketball. It is year round. So subscribe to Her Hoop Stats. Follow them on socials. Keep listening to the assorted versions of the Her Hoop Stats podcast throughout the week, every week, as they transition from college to pros. So thanks for listening all year long to the Gauer Hour.